मैंने नहीं वो तो कह रहे हैं करके बैठा
Hi. Hello.
स्क्रॉल करो इसे।
अल्फाबेटिकली होता है क्या?
नहीं ऐसे ही है सर,
ऐसे ही होता है
जैसे जैसे ज्वाइन होते जाएंगे वैसे वैसे ऊपर आते। यहाँ सर
मास्क हटा दो।
कर लो
जी है सर डिस्टेंसिंग सोशल
अभी जरूरत नहीं है ना।
ये GMTV हमारा हो गया। Okay sir, I've made you the host.
You made me the host.
Yes
All
sir.
right, great. So I just need to share screen once I start. So let's wait for the intro and then we can get going. Can you hear me clearly, Soumya?
Yes.
Everyone can
Yes,
hear me
sir.
clearly?
Yes sir.
Wonderful.
So just 2 minutes.
No worries, take your time. Every second is precious.
It's not yet 2 minutes to go. chat box में मैसेज आने तो डाल दो। अच्छा वो
हाँ, chat box के messages लगा दो. That we'll have a re-login.
Yes. इसमें स्क्रीन इनका इनकी स्क्रीन को ना मेन स्क्रीन को नहीं आएगा। Can I request everybody to mute themselves?
कर सकते हैं किसी को यहाँ से म्यूट ऑल के बाद सारे पार्टिसिपेंट
Yeah, Ashna?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. So Dr. Vikram is there now?
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. Dr. Vikram, how are you?
Very well. How are
Yeah,
you?
great. You are looking so fresh in the afternoon post lunch.
I should be sleepy na post lunch.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because of all you guys being around, seeing so many people around, and the excitement to talk to our best pals, that's keeping me awake.
Yeah, it's all about excitement, and people are really happy and very impatiently waiting for your lecture. So I'm just waiting for the number to. So how many have joined?
41, it tells me.
So should we wait for 50? And then
I think if it's 3 o'clock, you can start with the intro and then let's get going.
okay.
What do you suggest?
Yeah, that's also okay, as you say. So, good afternoon, everyone. And on behalf of Department of Physiotherapy and Rehabilitation, I am Dr. Tarun. I'm the zonal head for physiotherapy. I would like to welcome Dr. Vikram Maskar. He's a consultant orthopedician in Institute of Orthopedics, Max Smart Super Specialty Hospital, Saket. Sir expertises in knee and shoulder surgeries. So, sir, I would like to, welcome you. And let's not waste too much of time. And sir, I think you can get going.
Thank you so much, and thanks all of you all, the whole physio team. I'm not going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, you can see.
Okay, so now I'm going to play the. Okay, right. So I've thought, there's always a big difference in opinion between a physiotherapist and a surgeon, because there's a big communication gap I have noticed between our physiotherapy fraternity and surgeons. And we being the most important people in the lives of a patient after an operation, both the physiotherapist as well as the surgeon, it's very important that we all speak the same language. So I have named my talk Commandments of Rehabilitation, a Surgeon's Perspective. That means when I do a surgery, what do I expect out of the rehab process? When do I go slow? When do I go fast? When do I expect weight bearing? When do I expect range of motion? I thought, let me try to demystify this in your mind. So I've named it 10 Commandments after the, 1 second, I think this I'm having an issue with this. 1 minute, just a second. Okay, so most important thing for all of us to remember that 50% of the, of a surgery being successful is the surgery, but 50% is the rehabilitation. So all you physios out there, your job is as important as a surgeon. Even if the surgeon does a wonderful surgery, if the muscles, if the right rehab is not given to the patient, the surgery will fail. So it is a teamwork between the surgeon and the physiotherapist. And we are equally as important for a surgery to succeed. So why did I call it Commandments? It is based on this wonderful movie called the 10 Commandments. And this is Moses in the 10 Commandments, and God gave him this tablet with 10 Commandments. Now, realistically speaking, this is actually Charleston Heston, not Moses, and he's just an actor, and I'm not God. I'm just telling you as a surgeon what I expect in individual cases, right? So most important thing for you to analyze when a patient comes and meets you is the psychology of a patient. So different patients have different psychology. You'll have patients that are grossly motivated. They'll be all ready to, to run on the first day. Pain doesn't matter to them. Those patients you need to analyze that fine, they are very motivated. I need to actually slow them down a little bit. There are the others which are quite balanced. Such patients are the easiest to handle, right? The others are the grumpy ones and the ones that are non-cooperative. So you need to make your opinion, but not be judgmental, because that gives you an idea how much to motivate. What does that patient really need? Does he need you to actually do the physiotherapy for him and move his legs and do that, or will he do that and he needs basically your motivation and your guidance? So psychology of the patient, very important for you to do before any physio starts. Second is something called requirement of a patient. So each patient is different, remember that. So you have manual laborers, you have lawyers and doctors who are relatively more sedentary, and you have the athletes and people who play sports. So requirement of a patient is different. So whether he requires from the beginning, from whether he even requires a surgery, okay, depends to a great extent on what is his requirement out of life. An athlete, even with a little bit of niggle in his knee, may not be able to perform in the best of his ability. So in that particular scenario, you may need an operation to get him better. But there are others, the elderly gentry, who may not be running marathons. If they have pain, can they be managed conservatively? Can they be managed with rehab? So that is very important. Your rehab as well as our surgical management is to a great extent based on the requirement of a patient. So this whole talk is basically on knee rehab. So I've tried to divide the whole thing on knee rehabilitation. So the most important thing for all of you all to remember, the whole body is a tug of war. Meaning you have two groups of muscles called the agonists and the antagonists. For example, in the knee, you have the quadriceps and you have the hamstring, right? To keep the knee stable, the quadriceps and the hamstring need to be equally as strong. So you have three people on either end of the tug of war as strong. The tug of war, the rope does not move at all. But let's say if there are two on one side and three on the other, then one side wins. So if the quadriceps is stronger and the hamstrings are weaker, what happens? It goes more into extension. Flexion is a problem. When there is a hamstring that is stronger and quadriceps are weak, you have extensor lags. So remember, the whole body is a tug of war, and our intention as rehab specialists and as surgeons is to balance this tug of war after an operation or even in a conservative setting. Most important, prehab. So what is prehab? So any surgeon worth his mettle, before he does his operation, optimize the body's ability to cope with the operation, he needs to do something called prehab. So prehab is a combination of psychological counseling to the patient as to what to expect. So you should know in these surgeries progress. So you should be able to explain to the patient that this is how a common patient post, let's say, an ACL reconstruction improves, or these are the little hurdles that we have, so that the patient is mentally secure. Can I just advise everyone to mute themselves, please? I think there's a lot of background. Yeah, can you please mute yourselves, everybody? Can everyone mute themselves? Hello? Yeah. All right. So prehab is a very, very important part of any rehabilitation process. Why? It's like this gentleman. This gentleman is not able to run the marathon. So why is he not able to run the marathon? Because he's not practiced adequately well. His muscles, the rest of his body are not tuned to running the marathon. Unless he exercises them, unless he makes his body and his stamina good enough to run the marathon, he won't be able to run it properly. So your job as rehabilitation specialists is to make sure the muscle groups are ready to fire immediately after the operation. So for that, they have to be tuned, they have to be trained, and they have to be strengthened even before the operation to have excellent results. So I call this the menu approach of rehabilitation. So the menu approach is rehab is surgery specific. So you have various kinds of surgery, which are trauma surgery. What are these surgeries? Fractures. That's called trauma surgery. Then you have keyhole surgery, where the incision or the cuts are very small. So the wound healing is much faster. And the last is a replacement surgery. So if we were to bring all these three kinds of surgeries together, we get four definitive types of surgical interventions. One is called a repair. That means where you're repairing one thing back. Second is reconstruct. That means you're putting in another biological structure, meaning a spare part from the body, to compensate for a lost spare part. Third is when you remove a part, like a meniscectomy, you remove a part of the meniscus. And the fourth is a replacement. Now the rehab is different for each of these. So as an algorithm, repair, rehab is slowest, because when you repair something, you want that thing to heal. So when you want it to heal, you go slow with it. When you reconstruct, you're actually replacing it with a biological structure. Biological structures may not be that strong. So your rehab is intermediate. When you remove something or when you replace something, the rehab is fastest because you have no restrictions usually. So this algorithm should be in your mind. Repair, reconstruct, remove, and replace. Repair, slowest rehab. Reconstruct, intermediate. Remove, fastest. And replace, also fastest. So let's start with
Sir, sorry to interrupt. Sir, could you please yourself mute everybody, because you are the host, you would be able to do that.
How do I mute them? I'm not able to mute everyone.
An option of mute all.
Where does it come?
In the participants, click on the participants.
Okay. Mute all. Okay, let me do that. But was I clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, was I clear till now? Would you want me to repeat, or I'm okay? Okay. Right. So let's start with meniscus tears, all right? So meniscus tears can be treated with a meniscectomy, that is removal of a part of meniscus, a meniscus repair. That means you repair the meniscus that's torn, which could be either a bucket handle repair, a radial repair, a root repair, a complex repair. Meniscectomy is almost preferably not done in today's circumstances because removing something, remember, everything has a role in your body. So as far as possible, meniscus should be repaired, all right? But meniscectomy was the age-old way of treating things, and rehab was fastest in meniscectomy. So as I told you, when you remove, rehab is fastest. Now, meniscus repairs are of different types. So let's start with the most common, called the bucket handle tear. That means what you can see here is the femur on top, tibia at the bottom, and that little white in the middle is a stuck meniscus because it has torn from its periphery where it attaches to the capsule and has come into the knee joint and has caused locking. So what I do in these cases is through keyhole surgery, I repair them back. And you can see it heals so beautifully after 6 weeks when you put in an arthroscope. Now, why did it heal so quickly and so well? It's because my rehabilitation or the job of the physios working with me was excellent, apart from the surgery. So let's take this for instance. So I've tried to make it using a standard implement we use at home. So this foam is a meniscus, all right? This is the tear. So you can see a space between the meniscus and the tablecloth, and this is the capsule. So this is a typical bucket handle tear. The meniscus tears off the capsule. So the space in between is the torn part. So what happens? This is the femur, the ball. As I put weight on the meniscus, you can see the tear is approximated to the capsule. So that means weight bearing in a bucket handle tear in extension is not a problem, because in a bucket handle tear, when you extend, the meniscus actually comes close to the capsule. But so you have logically a faster rehab. But there is an issue with weight bearing and bending. That's why we give these patients a brace to wear for the first 6 weeks. So you look what happens here. So when the knee is bending and I'm putting weight, you can see the condyle is actually pushing the meniscus forward or translating it. So that's where your sutures are. And they can give way. And you can have a problem later on and your repair may not heal. So weight bearing with a bucket handle tear with a brace is not a problem. But weight bearing and bending is a problem. That's why I restrict their weight. They're bending to 80 degrees in lying down position. But I allow them reasonable weight bearing in standing position with a brace. Now we come to a radial tear. So this is a radial tear where the meniscus tears in between into two parts, right? So what I do is I repair it back, all right? A variant of this is called a root tear. That means the meniscus tears or comes off from its attachment on the tibia at the back. So your meniscus is a C-shaped structure. It's attached to the bone in front and the bone behind. When it just comes out of the bone at the back, it's called a root tear. And what is the problem with this? It's like a cushion coming off your chair. So when your cushion comes off your chair, your butt directly touches against the wood of the chair and you can have pain. So same thing in the knee. The meniscus protects the cartilage, and when it comes off from its attachment, cartilage touches cartilage and it can wear off. So this is the beginning of arthritis. So in these cases, what do? I repair them back. So if they identified early, excellent results without doing a replacement surgery, right? So radial and root tears are different from bucket handle tears. And so is their rehab. So let's take, for instance, look at this meniscus. This is a foam I've cut into two parts, and this is the radial tear. Now see what happens when this is the weight bearing on my finger. This is the femur, which is the ball. So when I put pressure with the ball over the radial tear, you see that it opens up. So weight bearing in these kind of cases where you have a radial tear or a root tear, whether an extension or flexion, is avoided for 6 weeks till the meniscus heals. And of course, bending still is restricted to 80 degrees. So remember, for you and me, a hospital stay is nothing to worry about. So look at this girl kissing this tiger. She's not intimidated by the tiger, but for the patient, it's a big deal. So when you keep it in your mind and you think, "Arey, ye kyun nahi samajh raha hai? Ye kyun nahi kar pa raha hai? Isko dard kyun ho raha hai?" Remember, it's a big deal. Not only the operation, for a patient to accept being operated and to go through this whole intimidating rehabilitation and stay in the hospital is a big deal. So reassure them during hospital stay. So the main thing during hospital stay, the rehab, more than mobilizing them, more than exercising them, is to reassure them that you'll be fine. You'll get better. That's why you've had this operation. Apart from, of course, telling them do's and don'ts. So you need to reinforce no weight bearing, what do you have to do, what do you have to not do. So very important to reassure the patient. Now, this is the $1 million question, quadriceps, the most important part of the knee, if I might say. So early stimulation is the key. Why? Because the quadriceps, what it does is it locks your knee. That means it makes your knee go into complete extension. So when the knee goes into complete extension, there cannot be too much front to back or side to side movement. And thus, there's not much of force that goes to the ligament or the meniscus or whatever you have repaired or healed. So what are the critical things to think about when your quadriceps is not firing early? One is pain. Pain is the biggest cause. So post-surgery patient has pain. When the patient has pain, he wouldn't want to contract his quadriceps, and you may not get the quadriceps being stimulated on time. The second is effusion. That is swelling in the knee. When there is swelling, remember, when you get an injury and when there's swelling, you always keep your knee in a little bit of flexion. When you keep your knee in a little bit of a flexion or in a bent position, your quadriceps cannot fire. So effusion is important. And many times telling your surgeon about it, you may put a little needle inside and pull out that little fluid so that the patient can again extend and your quadriceps contraction can be quick. And third and most vital thing, communication. You need to explain to the patient what is the quadriceps muscle, how does it contract, how do you feel that it contracts. So I tell them a good trick is tell the patient to put his hand on his thigh and actually feel the thigh getting tight and the kneecap getting tight and the back of the knee touching the bed. So thigh getting tight, kneecap getting tight, and the back of the knee touching the bed. So many times I've seen that you all tell them to move their ankle back in front, but moving the ankle back in front does nothing for the quadriceps. It only improves the pump of blood towards the heart, nothing more than that. And what you will notice is after 2-3 times of doing it right, the patients have a tendency to extend the hip, and that is not a true quadriceps contraction. So very important to check for true quadriceps contraction. If it's not happening, it could be pain, it could be effusion, or maybe the patient hasn't understood. So work with your surgeon, work with your patient. So there are age-old sayings. We're all fitness freaks. No pain, no gain. But these are wrong. So remember that. Pain is a protective mechanism. We all have pain in our body because it's a way in which our body tells us, boss, I'm not able to cope. Right? Now, it's important to understand where to react and where not to react. So when there is pain, be sensitive about pain. So what I do for most of my patients, what you all should do for most of your patients is advise them a painkiller about an hour before the physiotherapy starts. So in that way, their apprehension and their actual pain levels goes down. So they're able to tolerate your physiotherapy a lot better. So this is very easy to do. Also, explain to your patient. So when you explain to them, when you know what the devil is, half the battle is won. So explain to them that you may have a little pain during this period. I'm going to try my best not to make it painful. And the best way is take a painkiller an hour before you come to me. Another thing we tend to do. So when we get a stiff knee, focus only on flexion. No. For me, the most important thing first you get is extension. Because when you get full extension, your quadriceps starts acting, because your quadriceps job is to get your knee into full extension. So here you can see a patient who came with a stiff knee after an operation done elsewhere. So he has such a huge flexion deformity with an okay flexion in the knee, right? But this is not acceptable. You cannot walk on a bent knee. The quads is not firing. You develop backache, hip ache, things like that. So I had to do an arthroscopy in him. You can see knee out straight, and 1 month later he's able to do this because my wonderful physiotherapists at Max and my clinic and everywhere else have understood this fact. Work on extension. When you work on extension, flexion will come. Trust me, because flexion's best friend is gravity. You can make the patient sit by the side of the bed and gravity will help him bend it. Many times you notice when you try to bend it, the patient shouts and screams because he's intimidated by us trying to bend it. But when you leave it to gravity, automatically it improves. So these are little tricks that you can use, but remember, focus on extension as much. Another thing, not all ligament surgeries, not all ligament injuries or tears require surgeries, because each of us are different. We're two kinds of people, copers and non-copers. And that is nothing to do with how muscular you are, how fit you are. It is your inherent tendency to be a coper, meaning your body, your ligaments, your muscles are made in such a way that they compensate for every part of your body. So remember, when God gives you one part, like when he gives you a ligament for stability, he gives you another structure to help that ligament out. Like when you have an ACL, you have your medial meniscus to help it out. So it's like Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah. So Modi ji, when he goes on a foreign trip, the government can be managed by Mr. Amit Shah for a week or so. But after that, let's say if it's a coalition government, the people will ask for the leader back. So they can only cope to a certain extent, but not beyond that. So important is to identify these patients. You have a 55-year-old sedentary person with an ACL tear, not much instability, patient comes because MRI report says ACL tear. No, treat him conservatively. You don't need an operation. Yes, some are non-copers. You could have a 70-year-old who feels unstable. Knees are absolutely normal, may require a surgery. So I have a menu approach to ligament tears. For me, not all ligament tears are the same, and my rehab changes accordingly. So the ligament is a rope that connects two bones. So the ACL connects the femur and the tibia, right? So it can come off. Avulsion means come off from the femur with a piece of bone or just with the ligament. So it can just come out from the tibia or the leg bone also as a piece of bone or the ligament as such. It could be a mid-substance tear. That means cutting off the rope in the middle. Or it could be that one bundle of the ACL is torn and the other bundle is intact. Remember, what God gives you is always the best. What you are born with is the best. What man gives is close to the best, but never the best. So preserving anatomy, preserving what you have is the most important thing. So rehab and recovery is different for each of these cases. So what is a non-bony avulsion? That means this little ligament that you see in between comes off from the femur or the thigh bone. So what do I do in these cases? I repair it. I don't replace it. I don't reconstruct. I don't bring a new ACL or take a hamstring graft or put it inside. I repair this because most of the stump has a blood supply. And as you can see here, it's come out. I've repaired it back there. And it heals beautifully. So you can see this lady here in arthroscopy after 6 months, it heals very well. So identifying these are important. So in primary repair, so as I told you earlier, repair means rehab slowest, but it preserves anatomy. It preserves what you have. So when you have, what you're born with, you are more biological. That means your body functions more normally. So slowest rehab, but most biological. What do you mean by slowest rehab? Rehab is restricted for 6 weeks. Okay, that means weight bearing is a little less for 6 weeks. Range of motion is also a little less. I go in a very graded manner. No active SLR till 6 weeks, and I wear a brace for 6 weeks. Why? Because I want to give the ligament the best opportunity to heal up. But patients, because ligaments have proprioceptive fibers, that means fibers that tell you position sense, sensitivity, things like that, these patients are happiest in their long term. Second is when you have one bundle that tears and one bundle that's intact. So as I said, preserve biology. I repair the bundle that is teared and reconstruct the bundle which is torn completely. So you can see that here, the top two figures show a torn bundle, right? So I fix that bundle back and I put in a new ligament, as can be seen here. And these heal beautifully because it has the old ligament to give it blood supply, and the new ligament that you've put inside to replace it gets a better blood supply from the existing ligament. In these, more aggressive rehab, like a standard ACL, no brace, full range of motion from day one. They are allowed to do it. Weight bearing as tolerated. And in about 2 weeks, they don't wear a brace and they walk on their own. And you work on your quads and your various other exercises. Other is a bony avulsion. Rare cases where the ACL comes out with a piece of bone from the femur or the tibia also. Remember, bone to bone healing is best. Ligament to bone healing is next best. So when there's bone to bone healing, I'm a little more aggressive than ligament to bone healing. So weight bearing is not a problem in these cases, but with a brace in full extension. And range of motion, I restrict to 0 to 90 degrees for 6 weeks so that the ligament doesn't stretch unnecessarily and come off from where it is attached. So there are various funny situations that you'll have. So you may examine them. Look at this pivot shift test in this patient. Can you see it's so full blown? It's a grade 3. So this is a patient that has something more than an ACL. It's not an ACL alone. ACL's job is to prevent front to back, that is antero-posterior and rotational stability. Many times we focus only on antero-posterior, but rotational is as important. So this patient has something more. So important to stabilize a knee is not only the anteroposterior stability, but rotatory stability. And that you do by something called a lateral extra-articular tenodesis. That means I take a part of the IT band, take it under the LCL and fix it on the femur. And then you can see patient is absolutely stable. And most patients will come to you for rotatory stability, not AP, okay, instability. So remember, see beyond it. So rehabilitation is always in sync with nature. Okay, remember you're born with certain alignments and rehab is based on that. Aim is to preserve motion and strengthen the muscles without altering the length of the ligament or stretching it till the ligament becomes part of your body. So this becomes a part of your body is called ligamentization. That means it develops a blood supply and becomes a part of your body. Till then, you don't want unnecessary stretch, and that's why you avoid straight leg raising and things like that. Remember, sometimes nature is like the PCL. So PCL is an anti-gravity ligament. So it prevents the tibia or leg bone from going behind on the femur bone. Here you can see when it goes behind, the PCL stretches, right? So when the PCL stretches, if you do a reconstruction or do whatever, it's not going to heal. Nature is with ACL because it's not against gravity. So that's why in PCL you put a posterior support so that you push the tibia forward so that the stretch on the PCL reduces. So in PCL you go slower. Weight bearing is slower, range of motion in prone position because in supine position, gravity is acting. And now you have newer braces, so you may not need this posterior support, but for those who can't afford these newer braces, posterior support works beautifully. Again, we are all born with different kinds of knees, varus knees or bow knees, knock knees or straight knees. So remember in varus knees, there's a stretch on the lateral or outer aspect ligaments and less stretch on the inner. So the outer ones, you have to be more careful and slower in rehab. Opposite with knock knees. Knock knees, there is more stretch on the MCL, less stretch on the LCL. So we Indians are largely varus knees. So nature is with us. So range of motion is done in varus and weight bearing can be started with a brace almost immediately. So look at this knee. You can see this MCL tear. So what do? You reduce the stretch on the MCL. So you put it in a figure of 4 position. So you can see now the ligament is kinked. So there's no stretch on this tear. So you can see this tear approximates. That's why you do range of motion in figure of 4 position in an MCL tear. Now PLC again, nature or in us Indian populations, it's against because we have varus knees. So when you have valgus knees, the stretch is less on the PLC. But when you have varus knees, there is more stretch on the PLC. So slower rehab, range of motion here will be in valgus, not in figure of 4 opposite. And brace is worn for at least 6 weeks to 3 months and weight bearing is deferred up to 6 weeks and you work on quad strength. Now we come to replacement surgery. As I told you, remove and replace, fastest rehab. So replace service, no restrictions from day one. Only reason to slow down is pain and letting the wounds heal. But these days, trust me, we surgeons fix the wounds very well and they will heal. Okay. So what do you do in a replacement? So when your tire gets bald, you actually just replace the rubber, right? So what you do is you don't cut off the whole bone and put a new knee inside. What you do is the main spoke of the wheel or the frame of the wheel is preserved. You only change the rubber. So you put a cap only on the damaged part. So this is a UKR. This is a uni-compartment knee replacement. So there's replacement is divided into putting a cap on the whole joint or a part of the joint. Uni means 1/3 of the joint. So here you can see medial part of the joint, inside of the joint is damaged, cartilage gone. You put a cap there. This is how it looks. So what do you do? Much smaller incision. The chap starts walking. So that's our wonderful Soumya making one of our patients walk a couple of hours after the operation. No problem. And within 2 weeks, he's walking absolutely normally. Because it's a less invasive operation. Bigger the incision, more the pain. Smaller the incision, less the pain. Faster the rehab. But now we have better anesthetic and better rehab techniques. So even in the bigger incision cases, we can do very well. So here, this is a total knee case. Where the whole knee is damaged, you put a cap on the whole knee. Here it's important in replacement cases. How do you decide slow or fast? You decide whether the knee is stable. So you can see if the knee is going too much into extension, too much movement front to back, too much movement inside to outside, knee is not very stable. Maybe you talk to your surgeon, go slow on rehab. Knee is nice and tight, not much movement front to back. That means tibia over the femur. You can go quicker. So the only reason to slow down is if the surgery or the knee is not stable. In those cases, obviously, you will go slow. But otherwise, there's no other reason. So every knee replacement case, do have a look. Look at the knee. See, how is the knee? Is it stable? Is it not stable? And then decide. And this is the reason why we don't allow them to sit on the floor also. Many people say, hum to chair niche bhi baith jayenge, namaz bhi kar lenge. Nahi. You cannot do that. Because when you sit on the floor, even if there's a slightest semblance of instability, the two components can subluxate. That's why you tend to preserve movement to 100 to 110 degrees. And thanks to our wonderful rehab team, we were also able to do the first DK knee replacement surgery here. And that's all thanks to our wonderful rehab team and Max Home Care and all our physios, including Soumya, everybody. And we could do this, and this patient was within 48 hours normal, because they asked me, why could you do this? You could do this because of the rehab done by the physio team, because of the psychological counseling done by them and me, and the patient knowing what to expect, pain relief. So patient should not have pain. Patient should never experience pain. The moment pain or instability goes into their mind, then it remains there and they are skeptical about everything. So everything should go smooth. So there's a 3-strike rule of rehab. Remember this, motivate your patients. You're a coach, you're a motivator. Pain-free early mobilization. So your early mobilization should not be at the cost of pain, right? And should be complication-free. So don't try to do anything. Talk to your surgeon. Try to follow the golden rules if your surgeon is not reachable, which I have told you in the beginning of this slide. Remove, replace, repair, and reconstruct. Remove, replace, fastest rehab, repair, slowest rehab, reconstruct, intermediate rehab, right? So you have fractures now. So fractures can be fixed in the knee by nails or plates. So what is the difference? Nail is a load sharing implant. That means it takes some load off the bone. Plate does not take load off the bone. It only fixes the bone. So look at this. The top case fixed with a nail. This other one case, which is a periprosthetic fracture after a replacement done, that is fixed with a plate. Now, how are these two different? So look at this broken pipe. So when this pipe breaks, when this pipe breaks, you have two options. One is to put a smaller diameter pipe within this pipe and pump water. Then you're not bothered about the pressure of water that goes through, because the smaller pipe within the bigger pipe is giving stability to the pipe. So this is a nail. So nail, in a nail, no problem with weight bearing, ideally speaking, if the fracture is stable and if the surgery is done properly. So speak to your doctor, speak to the surgeon. Weight bearing as tolerated or partial weight bearing can be started quickly. But look at the other case. If you try to fix this plate with a bandage or a little plate and some screws, then water can leak out of these little crevices where you have fixed it. And in those cases, you will reduce the pressure that is going through the pipe, reduce the pressure of water going through it, right? So this is the function that a plate does. So your rehab is slow. That's why you do not weight bear in a plate, and you go very, very slowly till the fracture starts healing. Thank you. So I think we've finished exactly with this. Let's re-log in for the discussion. Is that a good idea, Soumya?
So we still have 5 minutes. So I think if anybody wants to ask a question.
Any questions? Was my presentation clear? Did everybody understand? Was I clear in my...
Wonderful presentation, sir.
Okay. So now for questions.
There are questions, please.
I think it is ending. This thing is ending. Please re-log in. I'm going to re-log in. Please re-log in for the discussion now. All right? It says less than a minute.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm just stopping and I'm going to re-log in now.